Celebrities are dragging Jeff Bezos and his over-the-top wedding, and not just because they didn't get an invite. Some are jealous, others are furious, and the rest, they're calling it a tacky, tone-deaf waste of money. Italian locals protested it, society's roasting it, and now even celebrities are turning on the couple. Charlize Theron used a charity event to call out Jeff and Lauren on stage, saying, "I think we might be the only people who didn't get an invite to the Bezos wedding. But that's okay because they suck and we're cool." And yeah, she actually said that. So what really went down in Venice? And how did a wedding turn into a full-blown celebrity pile-on? Let's break it all down. Bezos didn't just rent a venue. He shut down an entire Venetian island and transformed a 16th century basilica into his personal altar. The guests, ferried in by candlelit gondolas like extras in a billionaire fantasy film. Lauren Sánchez wore multiple designer gowns, including a custom Dolce & Gabbana cape so wide it needed handlers just to walk. And the aisle, covered in thick, dull gray carpet, so strange that Twitter immediately compared it to the flooring in a corporate office. One viral comment read, "This man spent $50 million and chose a rug from Staples." Even Italians weren't impressed. Locals protested outside the event, chanting that Venice wasn't for sale. Online, it only got worse. Memes exploded. TikToks mocked the dystopian parade of excess. One user called it, "What happens when you mix Succession with the Kardashians and remove all taste?" And while the internet dragged every detail, a few celebrities decided to speak up loudly. But first up, Charlize Theron, and she did not hold back. While the world was still gawking at Bezos' $50 million fairy tale, Charlize Theron decided to torch the fantasy on stage in front of a live audience. At a high-profile charity event, Charlize stepped up to the mic and didn't even pretend to be subtle. She joked, "I think we might be the only people who didn't get an invite to the Bezos wedding, but that's okay because they suck and we're cool." Then she dropped the real bomb. Yeah, fuck them. The crowd was stunned. Online, people couldn't decide if she was unfiltered or just uninvited and salty. One tweet read, "Charlize just ended her Hollywood career at a fundraiser and I kinda respect it." Another, "She's just mad Bezos chose Lauren over literally anyone else." But Charlize didn't stop at Bezos and Lauren. In the same speech, she veered into politics, calling out rising gender-based violence, the rollback of women's rights, and the erasure of queer and trans lives. Some applauded her for using the spotlight to speak the truth. Others dragged her for hijacking a cause to shade a couple that, let's be honest, probably didn't even notice. Still, it was clear. Charlize struck a nerve. Her rant went viral, especially when fans noticed the speech had just enough bitterness to feel personal. And as if the moment wasn't bizarre enough, someone made it even weirder with an AI-generated clapback from Lauren Sánchez herself. Just when people thought the Bezos wedding backlash couldn't get any stranger, enter AI Lauren Sánchez. Out of nowhere, a deepfake video surfaced online showing a lifelike Lauren responding to Charlize Theron's rant. The tone? Cold, calculated, and kind of iconic. In the video, AI Lauren says, "We invited friends, not spectators with opinions from the sidelines. That wasn't an oversight. It was a choice." Then she hits back harder. Funny how Charlize talks about climate change while cashing checks from luxury brands. Spare me. And while the entire video was clearly fake, her face almost too perfect, her voice slightly off, people couldn't stop watching. The clip racked up millions of views in hours. Some fans called it brilliant satire. Others creeped out. "I know it's AI, but it kind of feels like something she'd actually say," one user commented. And honestly, that's what made it so viral. The AI didn't just parody Lauren, it exposed the absurdity of billionaire image control, but it also raised a bigger question. In a world where anyone can be digitally cloned, what's even real anymore? Turns out this AI roast was just the beginning, because the next celebrity to clap back wasn't messing around. Rosie O'Donnell showed up with poetry, Photoshop, and a level of rage nobody saw coming. While most celebs settled for passive-aggressive Instagram captions, Rosie O'Donnell went full poet warrior mode. On her Substack, she dropped a scathing poem about the wedding, and she didn't hold back. She called Lauren Sánchez a fake Finbot wife and described Bezos as a man who sold his soul to excess. Rosie wrote, "The Bezos wedding turned my stomach. A parade of billionaires flaunting greed while the world burned. The devil is smiling at all his conquests." But the most shocking line, she dragged Oprah asking bluntly, "Is Oprah really friends with this man? How is that possible?" And that's where things got really messy, because Rosie and Oprah, they go way back. In 2011, Rosie had a talk show on Oprah's own network. Oprah once called her a partner, a friend. So for Rosie to throw her under the Bezos bus, fans were shook. Rosie just burned a 20-year friendship for a poem, one tweet read. Another, "She's not wrong, but wow." And it didn't stop there. Rosie even posted before and after photos of Lauren, implying that Bezos traded in authenticity for algorithm. It wasn't poetry, it was a public takedown dressed in rhymes. And the crowd divided. Some saw Rosie as a truth teller, others called it bitter and unnecessary, but the comparison everyone kept making wasn't about Lauren, it was about who she replaced. While Lauren Sánchez was strutting through Venice in million-dollar couture, the internet couldn't help but ask, where's Mackenzie Scott? And how did we go from her to this? Because while Bezos' current wife was hosting a $50 million spectacle, his ex-wife, Mackenzie, was doing the exact opposite, quietly donating billions, avoiding red carpets, and literally changing lives. The comparisons hit hard, and they came fast. Actress Mia Farrow fanned the flames by posting a glowing tribute to Mackenzie on social media, calling her a true role model. Underneath, thousands of comments dragging Lauren without even saying her name. She should have been on the cover of Vogue, not the cyborg in Venice. One gives away money, the other gives away personality. Even Olivia Munn joined the subtle shade parade, replying, "Truly incredible" to Mia's post. Just vague enough to slide under the radar, but sharp enough to leave a mark. It wasn't just praise for Mackenzie, it was a coordinated campaign to show what Bezos could have had if he hadn't, in Rosie O'Donnell's words, sold his soul. And it worked. Viewers started flooding timelines with side-by-side comparisons. Mackenzie standing in jeans at a food bank, Lauren being airlifted onto a yacht in 6-inch heels. The narrative was clear. Mackenzie is what society respects. Lauren is what it resents. And just when the fire was starting to cool, someone else walked straight into it, Jessica Alba. And what came next nearly burned her reputation to the ground. Out of all the celebrities at Jeff Bezos' wedding, Jessica Alba may have caught the most unexpected heat. Why? Because her presence wasn't just surprising, it was downright hypocritical. Jessica isn't just a Hollywood star, she's also the face of Baby2Baby, a nonprofit that provides diapers, clothes, and essential items to children in need. She sits on the board, posts about it, speaks on behalf of underprivileged families across America. So when influencer Meredith Lynch spotted her partying it up with billionaires who actively support policies that cut funding for struggling families, the internet lost it. Meredith didn't hold back. In a viral video, she pointed out how Jessica and fellow Baby2Baby board member Kelly Sawyer were posting luxury wedding pics while back home, a major bill was threatening SNAP benefits, the exact kind of support their nonprofit is built around. Have you two even turned on the news? Meredith asked. You're toasting champagne with the very people creating the problem you claim to care about. People were furious. One commenter wrote, "This is like a fireman attending an arsonist's birthday party." Another, "They care about poverty until the invite says Venice." It wasn't just bad optics. It was a full-blown PR nightmare. And the worst part? Neither Jessica nor Kelly has publicly addressed the backlash, making it look even more like they were caught, not sorry. But while some stars were getting dragged for showing up, one actress made headlines by doing the opposite. In a sea of celebrity faces at Jeff Bezos' wedding, one name was oddly missing: Eva Longoria. Now, Eva's not just some distant Hollywood peer. She's a longtime friend of Lauren Sánchez. She was at the bachelorette party, she's been on the yacht, she's in the circle, but when it came time for the $50 million main event, Eva was nowhere to be found. Instead, she spent the weekend barefoot on a beach promoting her CNN series, Searching for Spain. And while she didn't mention the wedding, fans noticed the timing and the location was just a bit too perfect. Spain, by the way, only a short flight from Venice. So what gives? Was Eva truly too busy filming? Or was this a quiet protest, a not-so-subtle statement that she didn't want to be part of the spectacle? Because here's the thing. Eva's brand is all about culture, heritage, and activism. Bezos' wedding, not exactly on brand. And people noticed. Eva saw the guest list and hit Do Not Disturb. The silence was louder than any shady caption. Whether intentional or not, Eva's absence became its own form of commentary. And in this story, missing the party might have been the smartest move anyone made. But while Eva was dodging the chaos, someone else was stepping directly into it. Jeff and Lauren's kids, once kept out of the spotlight, suddenly became part of the wedding narrative. Amid all the glitz, scandals, and celebrity clapbacks, there was one part of Jeff Bezos' wedding that stayed surprisingly quiet: his and Lauren's kids. For a man who just staged a $50 million public spectacle, Bezos made one thing very private: his family. There were no official photos, no red carpet moments, no interviews, just whispers. But behind the scenes, the kids weren't just there, they played key roles in the ceremony. Lauren Sanchez's two sons, Nico and Evan, walked her down the aisle. Her daughter, Ella, served as maid of honor, choosing to wear a sharp suit instead of a traditional dress. Lauren gushed about it, saying, "Ella's original, she beats to her own drum." Meanwhile, Bezos' own 4 children, whom he shares with ex-wife Mackenzie Scott, stayed completely under the radar, again by design. They reportedly attended, but no one saw them. No camera caught them. Not even the gossip pages had a shot. And in a weird twist, that might have been Bezos' smartest decision of the whole wedding. One viewer tweeted, "Say what you want about Jeff, but keeping the kids out of this circus, respect it was a rare moment of restraint in an otherwise over-the-top weekend. A glimpse of humanity in a storyline dominated by luxury and backlash." But that quiet moment didn't last long, because while the kids were kept in the shadows, Jeff's financial secrets, they were dragged into full-blown daylight. If the wedding raised eyebrows, Jeff Bezos' finances sent them into orbit. Because while guests were being ferried around on candlelit gondolas, the internet was digging into how the second richest man on earth actually avoids paying taxes like the rest of us. In 2024, Bezos officially moved his residence to Florida, a state with no income tax. Coincidence? Not really. The move was widely seen as a strategic play to minimize what he owes Uncle Sam. And then there's this. Between 2006 and 2018, Bezos reportedly paid just $1.4 billion in taxes while earning tens of billions. One viral TikTok broke it down. That's like tipping $1 after buying a Lamborghini. The key? He keeps selling Amazon stock slowly and strategically in ways that reduce taxable income while boosting his net worth. Completely legal. Totally exploitative. And just to add insult to injury, a former restaurant worker posted that when Bezos dined at their upscale spot, he refused to even look at the bill, just signed it, avoided eye contact, and left. He acts like the bill doesn't exist, they said, like money isn't real to him. That quote hit home, because to many watching, the wedding didn't just feel expensive, it felt untouchable, a reminder that some people live in a completely different world, where $50 million buys privacy, power, and the privilege to ignore consequences. And for all the memes, the protests, the clapbacks, what stings the most is this: Jeff Bezos doesn't seem bothered at all. When Jeff Bezos married Lauren Sánchez in a $50 million Venetian fantasy, he probably thought the headlines would be about love, legacy, and luxury. Instead, he triggered a full-blown cultural backlash. A-list celebrities called him out. Eye parodies went viral. Billionaire hypocrisy was dragged across every feed. And what should have been a private celebration became a very public referendum on wealth, power, and priorities, because this wasn't just a wedding. It was a mirror, a snapshot of what happens when one man's love story costs more than most people will earn in a lifetime, while his company's workers still fight for bathroom breaks. It made people uncomfortable, and that discomfort turned into anger. The AI jokes, the clapbacks, the side eyes from celebrities, none of it came out of nowhere. This was decades of frustration, bubbling over, aimed at a man who no longer sleeps on an office couch, but sails on super yachts and lives above it all. And what about the couple at the center of it? Jeff Bezos hasn't issued a real public statement. He didn't need to, because in his world, outrage is just noise. The gondolas sailed, the cameras clicked, the billions keep stacking. So now the real question is, was this the price of love or the cost of becoming untouchable? Let us know in the comments. And if you think this drama is over, just wait. Because in the world of celebrity billionaires, the next scandal is already brewing.